Sarah stood in front of the mysterious door, heart pounding with anticipation. She had recently purchased this old house at a suspiciously cheap price. While exploring, she had discovered a hidden door leading to an unknown room. Taking a deep breath, Sarah turned the rusty handle and eased the door open. It creaked ominously on its ancient hinges. As light from the hallway spilled into the dark space, Sarah gasped. Huddled in the corner was the frail figure of a young boy, shaking and blinking at the sudden brightness. Shackles encircled his thin wrists and ankles, the chains clinking softly as he trembled. "Oh, you poor thing," Sarah murmured, horrified that someone could treat a child this way. She approached slowly, not wanting to frighten him further. "Hello there," she said gently. "My name is Sarah. What's yours?" The boy's emerald green eyes were wide and glassy with unshed tears. Messy white hair framed his gaunt but beautiful face. "Alex," he stammered in barely a whisper. Sarah's heart broke for him. "Alex, are you here all alone? Has anyone been taking care of you?" She didn't want to barrage him with questions about how he got here, focusing instead on his immediate well-being. "A man used to bring me food," Alex replied shakily. But he hasn't come in days." His stomach growled plaintively, emphasizing the point. "You must be starving. Don't worry, I'll get you something to eat, and I'll see about getting those awful chains off you. Just sit tight. I'll be right back." Sarah hurried to the kitchen, quickly heating up some soup and buttering a thick slice of bread. When she returned, Alex was eyeing the tray hungrily but still seemed hesitant and wary. Sarah set it down beside him. "Go on, eat up, but take it slow. You don't want to make yourself sick." As Alex devoured the food, Sarah examined the shackles binding him. The locks looked old and crude. Maybe she could pick them herself, to avoid subjecting Alex to more strangers that might frighten him. "I'm going to try to get these off. Okay, Alex? I'll be gentle." Over the next hour, Sarah struggled with the locks, consulting lock-picking tutorials on her phone. Alex watched quietly between tentative bites of food, amazed at her determined efforts on his behalf. Finally, the shackles sprang open with a satisfying click. Sarah carefully removed them, revealing raw, chafed skin underneath. "There, isn't that better?" she said, smiling at Alex reassuringly. "Why don't you come with me and we'll find you some clean clothes, maybe a nice bubble bath and cozy bed. How does that sound?" But Alex shrank back, suddenly nervous. This dark room was the only world he knew. The thought of leaving it was overwhelming. Seeing his distress, Sarah backpedaled. "It's okay, we'll take things slow. I know this is all very new and scary. We can stay here until you feel ready. I'll help you feel safe, I promise." Over the following days and weeks, Sarah spent hours sitting with Alex, bringing him good food, warm blankets, books and toys. Anything to brighten up his bleak little world. They talked and played games, slowly building trust. Sarah learned that Alex had been orphaned as a baby. The man who used to bring him food said he was Alex's uncle, but he was a cold, distant figure. Now it seemed he had abandoned Alex entirely. "Well, I'll never abandon you," Sarah promised, giving Alex's hand a gentle squeeze. "In fact, how would you like to stay with me forever? I'd really like to be your new mom, if you'd have me." Alex's eyes shone with disbelieving hope. Really? You wouldn't get tired of me? Or decide I'm too much trouble?" Really, Sarah said. "I know we haven't known each other long, but I already love you so much, Alex. I want to give you a happy life and a family. We'll always be there for each other." As Alex nodded shyly, a tentative smile spreading across his face, Sarah felt a profound sense of protectiveness and purpose well up inside her. She would do anything for this sweet boy, anything to keep him safe and make him feel cherished. The next order of business was getting Alex out into the world. But Sarah knew she had to tread carefully. Alex was still skittish around the idea of unfamiliar people and places. She started by showing him pictures of the house, then walking him to the threshold of the room to peek out. Little by little, he would take a step further into the hall, down the stairs, out into the garden. Sarah lavished him with praise at each small achievement. To help Alex feel more at ease around others, Sarah decided to invite her dear friend Layla over for a casual visit. Layla had a warm, easygoing way about her that Sarah hoped would put Alex at ease. When the doorbell rang, Sarah gave Alex an encouraging smile. "Just wait here, okay? I'll bring Layla to meet you. She's very nice, I promise." Leaving Alex in the living room, Sarah hurried to answer the door. She greeted Layla with a hug, bubbling over with excitement. "I'm so glad you could come meet Alex. I just know you two will adore each other. He's still very shy of strangers, so we'll have to go slow. But this is such an important step for him." Layla smiled at her friend's enthusiasm, though privately she wondered if Sarah was getting too attached too quickly to a troubled child she barely knew. "Of course, I'm happy to help however I can. Lead the way." Sarah led Layla to the living room, but stopped short in the doorway, her welcoming grin fading into bewilderment. "Alex? Honey, where are you?" The room was empty, Alex nowhere to be seen. A soft thump from upstairs caught Sarah's attention, and she turned to dash up to Alex's room, Layla following behind. Sarah's heart seized with dread at the sight that greeted her. Alex lay crumpled on the floor, still and silent, his skin ashen. Sarah flung herself down beside him, gathering his limp form into her arms. "Alex, baby, can you hear me? Open your eyes." Sarah patted his cheeks, frantically searching for a pulse, for breath, for any sign of life. There was none. Layla stood frozen in the doorway, her hand flying to her mouth in shock, at the scene before her, and at the state of the room. Rotting food, filthy dishes, and soiled clothes littered every surface. The stench of decay was overwhelming. In Sarah's arms, Alex's body was emaciated, just skin stretched tight over bones. His face was sunken, lifeless. He had clearly been dead for some time. "Sarah," Layla choked out. "Sarah, stop. He's gone. We need to call for help." But Sarah continued to rock Alex's corpse, cooing reassurances. "Shoo, it's okay, baby. Mama's here. You're going to be all right. I'll make it all better." She seemed oblivious to the horror of the situation, lost in a fantasy. Fighting down panic and revulsion, Layla backed out of the room and frantically dialed 911 on her cell phone. In a shaking voice, she reported the situation to the dispatcher, begging them to send help quickly. Within minutes, a team of police officers and paramedics had stormed the house. They found Sarah still huddled over Alex's body, singing softly to him as if to soothe him to sleep. She became hysterical when they tried to pull her away, screaming and fighting. "What are you doing? Leave us alone. He needs me. I'm the only one who can help him." Sarah raged desperately as the officers restrained her. The paramedics grimly checked Alex for signs of life, confirming what Layla already knew in her heart. This child had suffered a lonely, agonizing death from prolonged neglect and starvation. Tears streamed down Layla's face at the tragedy of it all. In the end, the officers had no choice but to sedate a wildly combative Sarah. As her struggles slowed and consciousness faded, she reached a hand toward Alex's bedraggled form, whimpering his name one last time before going limp. When Sarah awoke, she found herself in a sterile cell, dressed in plain scrubs. Her memory was fuzzy, but the grief hit her like a freight train. Alex was gone. Her precious boy had slipped away, and she hadn't been able to save him. Ignoring the sting of the sedative still muddling her mind, Sarah flung herself at the bars of the cell door, rattling them with all her strength. "Let me out. You have to let me see Alex. He needs me," she screamed. A young guard with striking green eyes and white blonde hair hurried over, looking alarmed. "Ma'am, please, you need to calm down. You're going to hurt yourself," he said in a surprisingly soothing voice. But Sarah was beyond reason, beyond consolation. In her shattered mental state, all she knew was that she had to get back to Alex, had to find a way to bring him back. She continued to sob and rage, heedless of the pitying and disturbed looks the guards exchanged. The young guard, whose name tag read Owen, refused to be deterred by Sarah's mania. He crouched by the cell door, fixing her with an intense stare. "Sarah, listen to me," he said slowly and clearly. "Alex wouldn't want this. He wouldn't want you to torture yourself. You did everything you could for him. But now he's at peace. He's not in pain anymore. The best thing you can do now is work on healing, so you can honor his memory. Whether it was Owen's uncanny resemblance to Alex, or the power of his calm compassion, Sarah found herself halting her tirade. She slid to the floor in abject misery, weeping soundlessly. Owen stayed with her, murmuring reassurances, promising her that she wasn't alone, that there were still people who cared about her and wanted to help her. In the weeks and months that followed, Sarah struggled to come to grips with reality. The house where she had found Alex was condemned. Inspectors uncovered evidence that the former owner, Alex's uncle, had indeed kept the boy prisoner there for years. The man had a history of mental illness and erratic behavior. After his death, Alex had slowly wasted away, forgotten and alone, until Sarah moved in and discovered him. With a lot of therapy and support, Sarah began to accept that her relationship with Alex had been a well-meaning delusion. Starvation, trauma, and isolation had pushed Alex past the point of saving long before she found him. Her guilt and grief had caused her to retreat into a fantasy where she could still protect and nurture him. Through it all, Owen remained a steadfast source of strength and encouragement for Sarah. He seemed to intuitively understand what she needed, and the more time they spent together, the more Sarah realized how much light and goodness he brought to her life. Slowly but surely, she found herself looking forward to their visits, laughing at his jokes, treasuring his sweet gestures. As Sarah healed, she threw herself into advocacy work, determined that no more children should suffer like Alex did. She campaigned for better social services, more comprehensive child welfare investigations. In Alex's name, she helped push through new legislation increasing penalties for child abusers and expanding programs to support kids in the system. On the one-year anniversary of finding Alex, Sarah stood before a crowd at the dedication of the Alex Memorial Park and Community Center. Owen stood steadfastly beside her, holding her hand. "I couldn't save Alex," Sarah said, voice quavering but strong. "But I will spend the rest of my days ensuring that his life meant something, that in his name countless other children will be saved. Thank you all for helping me keep his memory alive through this important work, and for helping me find hope again." She closed her eyes for a moment, picturing Alex's sweet face. Somewhere out there, she knew he was smiling down on her, no longer hurting or afraid, finally at peace. Sarah smiled through her tears, turning to Owen and all the other guardian angels who had helped her survive her darkest days. With their love and a powerful new purpose, she knew she would be okay. Alex would never be forgotten. He would forever be her inspiration to make the world a brighter, more compassionate place. Sarah took a deep breath of fresh spring air and squeezed Owen's hand. Then together, they stepped forward into the warm sunlight, ready to begin again.